Oh, I was in the class with Mitt Romney and George Bush.
大家好，这是我的公公。We talked before he went to Harvard graduate school. Let's talk about his experience. Which year did you go to Harvard?
1973.
Mom said you applied for 2 times. The first time you went to the army because you...
Well, the first time I applied was in 1969. The week after I got accepted to Harvard, the first time, I was drafted by the U.S. military. Had to go down and meet with recruiters and join the Army so that I could finish school and then go in the Army rather than just go in on the draft. After serving 4 years in the Army, I had to reapply, and it meant I had to go through all of the same application processes as I did the first time.
Is that really hard to apply?
Well, it's lengthy. It's a long process, a long application. Now, I don't know what it is today. It included some, and you're given a statement, and you have to write an essay about it. That's pretty difficult. Write an essay and then review it and review it and review it and have other people read it and review it to make sure it made sense and that made sure that it really answered the question. I don't know what it's like now, but in those days that was a pretty difficult process.
Like Harvard at that time, it's only take few students. That the competition was really bad at that time.
Well, the competition, I think, is always difficult.
You said you only choose BYU and Harvard. Did you get the offer from BYU?
I got an offer from BYU, but I didn't accept it. A graduate degree there.
Yes. Why do you apply for Harvard?
It had a reputation of being, if not the best, one of the top 2 business schools in the country.
So you are really excellent student.
Well, I was okay in undergraduate school, but I didn't major in anything that was business related. I majored in political science because I originally thought that I was going to go to law school. When I was going to BYU, I went to work for a company. I really enjoyed it. And after I'd been there for a little while, the production manager for the company quit. They asked me if I would take over as production manager. I was just a sophomore in college, so I worked there for about 4 years. And my experience in that business environment, I really enjoyed. And so I decided that rather than go to law school, I would go to business school.
我第一次见红豆爷爷的时候，觉得他就像一尊佛像，身宽体盘，少言语，喜欢安静。而爷爷年轻的时候却并非如此，他勤奋好学，善交际，靠自己边工作边读完了大学，2次申请哈佛大学商学院的研究生都被录取了。
Do you think the Harvard experience really helped you to get a good job after you graduate?
Oh yeah, it certainly made a difference, and the earnings, the salary that I was offered, and the kinds of jobs I was offered. So I was offered jobs in a variety of companies, including the consulting firm McKinsey. I worked the summer between the first and second year at Corning Glass, or it's now called Corning Incorporated. Eventually, we moved to Dallas, Texas, where I worked with some people on starting a high-tech company.
Is that expensive at that time to study in Harvard?
Well, it was relatively expensive, not like it is today.
But you can get some loans and some scholarships there, right?
Well, I got a fellowship that paid for most of my tuition.
That's great.
And fees, but our living expenses we borrowed from the university or borrowed from companies associated with Harvard Business School. We left Harvard Business School with about $10,000 in debt, which is not very much compared to today. Today, most Harvard graduates leave the business school with $50,000 or more in debt.
He said he paid his loans, like he paid his debt when he was the president. He just paid off all the his.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to pay it off fast because the interest rates were very, very low. It was on a 10-year payout program, and it was probably only $50 a month. I don't remember. It took time, but it was worth it. Oh, I was in the class with Mitt Romney and George Bush. I was never in a class with George Bush. My year, he was in my class. Harvard teaches differently, and you don't have textbooks. There are no textbooks. You learn accounting by doing accounting cases. You go through the very first year with all the same people. So they're divided up into sections of 70 people. And you have all of your classes with just those people. And so Mitt Romney was not in my section, and neither was George Bush. Mitt Romney is Tim's uncle. Yeah.
So do you know him at that time?
Yeah, I knew him because he's a member of our church, would meet at church. And we socialized with.
爷爷和小布什以及2012年总统候选人米特·罗姆尼是同届哈佛商学院的研究生，但是他们从来没有在同一小组学习过。可奇妙的缘分是，爷爷的大女儿嫁给了罗姆尼的一个外甥。
It's hard at Harvard, but it's fun. Do you think it's that in your life that's a really big thing? That's a really fun thing.
It was a good experience. It wasn't the most difficult experience I've ever had. The officer candidate school was 6 months long. It was the most difficult thing I've ever done. It was hard. It was physically hard. It was mentally hard.
Do you think it's really important for the kids to get a higher education?
Well, the world has changed a lot. A lot of kids don't go to college now. I mean, not just our family,
Do you think
but other
it's
families.
Really normal? It's a good thing, or?
I don't know. I think sometimes people go to school just to go for 2 years.
Yeah.
And they get an associate degree, or they go to a special school and learn specialties. They learn how to program, and then they go into high tech, and it's not the same world that I grew up in.
But I think now when I looked around, I think the parents still want the kids to get good education. But after high school, you can have your own choice. Right?
Yeah.
Did you guys push the kids to go to university, or they just choose to?
Well, we actually hoped that they would all go on to higher education. Certain kinds of careers require education. To be a teacher, you have to go to college.
Yeah. Mom, were you so excited when Dad got the Harvard offer?
Yeah, I was happy when he got it the second time because he was, accepted at first, and we couldn't go because he had to go in the Army.
Yeah.
Then you think, well, I don't know, would they take him again?
Yeah.
So that was exciting. Yeah.
爷爷在研究生期间学业成绩良好，有很多的实习机会，毕业之后也得到了很多很好的工作机会，给了家人和孩子们很好的一个成长学习的环境。他认为良好的教育很重要，但同时他也认同现在的时代不同了，有些工作可能并不需要你去10年寒窗苦读，而是学习一门专业的技能就可以胜任你所喜欢的工作。